Just a message here for our Irish consumers. I'm standing here in a lovely crop of wheat destined for the feed market here. This crop is grown to the highest standard. It's subject to the rules and regulations of EU, the highest regulated grain production system probably in the world at the moment. Guarantees safe food. Teagasc research have showed that this Irish grain carbon neutral or very close to it. It's a wonderful good news story, the way we can grow grain here in this country, and unfortunately in the last 40 years over 40% of the area growing grain has disappeared and have gone to other sectors, mainly because it has become not economically viable anymore. And there's a lot of reasons for that, mainly a competition. So this crop here, carbon neutral, under the EU rules and regulations, audited. Every product that goes in here has been passed by the department, by the Food Safety Scientist Authority in Europe. Safe food, sustainable food, and carbon neutral. The Climate Action Plan recognised that fact and said we needed to increase that area of tillage to help meet to reduce the high emissions coming from agriculture in general. So the problem is, why are we losing all this area? And it's very simple really. In their wisdom, they're allowing grain and other feedstuffs enter the livestock feed market coming from other countries. These countries, called third countries, they're outside the EU. They're not subject to the rules and regulations that we have to comply with here. And I would say costly rules, but the end result is safe food, and it should be recognised as that. The unfortunate thing about all this is no one in authority here in this country will recognise this quality of grain we have here. They set the rules, the regulations. We jump through every hoop that they put in our way here in order to comply with all the regulations. And when we go to market, there's no label for Irish grain, no recognition for its high quality, its carbon neutral status. Instead, it's thrown into the same mix as what comes from these third countries, unregulated. Some of these countries environmentally disastrous credentials. Palm kernel expeller comes into Ireland here, 160,000 tonne come in January and February, coming from Indonesia. In Indonesia, they burn the peat lands and then they grow the plant the palm trees on it. So, can you imagine the carbon footprint of that product? That comes all the way through into here with a carbon footprint sky high. In Brazil and Argentina, they are knocking rainforests by every other week. So they say in Brazil the size of Munster is knocked every year. They're growing maize and soya. It's all genetically modified, which is illegal here in this country. That comes halfway around the world into our livestock feed market, and we are asked to price compete with that, right? So just to put a bit of financial on that, in 1980 I sold my wheat off this farm here for 145 to 150 euro Irish pounds a tonne. That is the equivalent of 185, 190 euros at that time. I'm finding it difficult to get that price for my crops today. That's unbelievable. Our cost base has risen by 12-fold in that time, and we're asked to produce this grain and sell it below the cost of production, and that is not sustainable. So our problem is no one will put a label on our grain, no one will verify the high quality of it, And worse than that, nobody will create a distinction between what we have and what comes in on the boats, right? So we have 5.5 million tonne of this imported product, genetically modified, unregulated and untraceable in any way or similar to what our grain is here. That enters the origin, most of that enters the Origin Green programme every year. You will not find a label, an advertisement or promotion anywhere, from Board Bia, the government, Teagasc, anyone else, pointing out that this is where this stuff comes from and how unsustainable the production of this is. Another factor, all these countries outside the EU are not subject to the pesticide rules that we have to comply with. Every tonne of this stuff coming in has been treated with chemicals, plant protection chemicals, that have been banned. Some of them have been banned for over 20 years by the EU food safety scientists on consumers' health concerns and on environmental concerns. So we look at the like of Board Bia. The charter says they commit to sourcing raw materials from a sustainable source, protection of the environment at all stages in the food production, and full and accurate traceability. Think about that. Indonesian bogs being burnt to grow protein to go into the feed, into the Origin Green programme here. Sustainable source. The rainforest has been knocked in Brazil to produce, to satisfy the demand for it here. Full and accurate traceability. There is not one single mention of this product, these products, on any Board Bia promotion or advertisement. So the grain growing in this country is at high risk of extinction at the moment, and unless something is done, it will go. The risks are very high. The weather windows now, we're finding it very difficult with it, but when your own government, your own state bodies won't stand up and support the high quality of this, you're in trouble. And more so when they set all the rules and they do all the auditing, and then they come along and tell us that they're not going to put a label on it. We have tried for many years to try and change this, and we're drawing a blank. So we're asking the consumers to ask the questions and put some pressure on the thing. If you're interested in the quality of the food you're eating and how it is produced, Irish grain goes a long way to satisfying all the requirements that you need. Thank you very much.